Hey, good morning, everybody. Got our cup of coffee. We wanted to make sure that you got your real estate market update. And as you can see right there, we are going fly fishing again. I happen to have one of my dear friends and client, Jeff Carey, with us today. Going to take him out. He's going to experience fly fishing for the first time. And then shout out Sean and Drago and Josh. Hey man, sorry you guys aren't here. It's going to be absolutely perfect outside, and it's going to be great fishing for catch and release. Anyway, hey, here's the thing. Wanted to get you this quick market update, walk you through things. There's a lot of comments that are being made out there regarding October, and really is the October market is it absolutely going down, or is it a seasonal normal trend? And it's really the latter, okay? And we're going to go more into that. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you get alerted, and definitely let us know if you want to go fly fishing because, it's going to be absolutely beautiful today. Now, here's the thing. You guys need you to work with me a little bit. I may just have to give you commentary. Going to try and share a screen. I've never done that before. So we'll see what happens here. Anyway, supposedly I can share my screen, and I just don't see how in the world I'm supposed to do that. But anyway, so let's go through things. Even though it says stop sharing screen, I guess I don't know what you guys are saying. But anyway, so let's do this. Normal seasonal trend. All right. So October typically is a modest month, and with interest rates that have gone up over the last, I would say 4.5, 5 months, where we've gone from 3.5, and if you guys can actually see my screen, I don't know if you can. There we go. So if you can see that in January we went from 3.45%, which was the mortgage interest rates par pricing at that time. We've crested up 6.11. They haven't reported, quote unquote, on the Freddie Mac side here, that we bumped into the sevens. And basically today, par pricing 7.08% with 0.8 fees. 0.8 take that's 0.8% times that by your loan balance, and that will give you what the fees are to buy that price down. Now, when you think about that, and people are like, oh my gosh, George, this is absolutely insane, right? What happened with interest rates? Well, it's super simple. Remember, the feds really don't control interest rates, right? They control your short-term mortgage rates, like a HELOC, home equity line of credit, your car loan, your credit cards. If you have, banks lending to each other, that's the federal rate. Mortgages are actually traded online, and they are affected by the bonds. That's a good trend. A 10-year treasury is a great metric to look at because mortgage interest rates typically follow the 10-year bonds or the 10-year treasuries. Also look at mortgage-backed securities. So to answer the question, remember in 2020, the feds were buying because we were heading into a recession in the early 2020, and a lot of people are like, what? Yes, they knew that we were heading into a recession, so they were going to start buying, and bought about $50 to $80 billion per month of mortgage-backed securities. And you might say, George, what the heck is a mortgage-backed security? Super simple. Everybody starts making loans. Whether it's B of A, it's Qualstar Credit Union, it might be, cross-country mortgage, whomever it is, okay? They actually make all these loans, and they bundle them, and they send them over to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Then Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae take all of these bundles, and they make a bigger bundle, and they package it called a mortgage-backed security. And they sell these mortgage-backed securities to like retirement companies, hedge funds, people who need super stable returns. They don't need to make gobs of appreciation, right? Like your retirement fund. You want it to be safe. And so the highest probability of a safe return are people making their mortgage payments. Okay, well that makes perfect sense. So They end up, Freddie and Fannie, they package these up, and the feds were buying them at $50 to $80 billion a month. And then they created scarcity because they're buying it all out in the market, which drove the value of mortgage-backed securities up. When they did that, what ended up happening is that dropped mortgage rates, and that's when we saw that massive shift where we came down, from the mid fives, high fours, down into the threes. All right. So what happened, and for those watching the channel knew this was coming about 6 or 8 months in advance, that in April, May, which is funny enough, 2 years to the day, or to the month, I should say, that they started buying mortgage-backed securities, they started selling them. By selling all the mortgage, well, not all of them, but they were starting to sell off $30 billion a month, not buying mortgage-backed securities, which then created a surplus. The value of the mortgage-backed securities came down. Inversely, mortgage interest rates have been going up. Now, you add a little recessive fear, right? Because we have a recession that, even though they have some, I would consider short-term numbers that are starting to look good, but inflationary numbers are still heading up. The Feds have not pivoted yet. And the pivot is what will be super important, because when the Feds turn around and quit increasing rate, but actually start either leveling or reducing the Fed lending rate, it is called a pivot, right? Go down the road, pivot, turn around, go the other way. That is the pivot that will then indicate clearly the recession. That is historically a marker that we look at, or a metric for others. So understand, the reason that we are seeing so much of a increase is because of the change in what the Feds were doing as far as with the mortgage-backed securities. Had a big impact on it. Now, there are other factors that go into it, but that is probably the key factor. Now, does that mean that we have a market that is just absolutely tanking? Now, the answer to that is no, and it's very clear. And in fact, we just put out a video, 5 reasons why the mortgage or real estate market here is not crashing, all right? And one of them happens to do with scarcity. Nationwide, so there's a lot of things happening in a lot of different areas that is not happening here. Even in 2007, 8, and through 2011, look, there was a lot of things that happened in other areas, did not happen here, because again, each area is their own little micro, economic area. And that is what we have. We have, and is considered one of the 5 best, economic areas across the United States, which is awesome, right? Which also maintains price stability. Now, there are others that say, George, is this really a good thing? Is having, our market doing a correction, and as I would say, I don't even know if it's really a correction, but just kind of taking some of the lunacy out of it, is that a good thing? And the answer is yes. Why? Because if we continued at the same trajectory that we were at, it would be untenable. It would be, nobody would ever be able to buy a home. Well, not nobody, but anyway, you get the gist of it. It would become so unaffordable that we would have a massive crash versus a correction, which is 2 different experiences altogether. So for those folks that over the last 2.5 years that have seen anywhere between 30 and 35% appreciation of their home, even if we see a small adjustment of anywhere between 1 and 3%, maybe as high as 5% adjustment or correction, that still puts us well ahead. And we're still looking at a 2024, I think next spring, this coming spring, I should say, is going to be rather aggressive. And I think interest rates are going to come down into the low 5s, high 4s. It is going to be brief, not a long term. It will be brief. And by doing so, we're going to see all of that pent-up demand from all of those buyers come out, and we're going to see multiple offers, and we're going to see our inventory being brought back down again, just like it is right now. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to pop this up there. If not, I'll have Vikas and Matt put it up. Anyway, so as you can see, new listings on what we have today, 915 on the running day, 7-day average, right? We have 1,155 that went pending, all right? So we still have more homes going pending, so we're pulling off more homes again than are coming on market. Seasonally normal. Look, we're heading into the holidays, for heaven's sakes. There's not a lot of sellers that out there, that are saying, hey, this is a great idea, let's go on just before the holidays. So naturally that slows down. But notice that the pendant is still, for the now 12th week in a row, no, 11th week in a row, we are still seeing that massive pendant set of buyers coming, and taking homes off the market. In other words, we're taking, again, more homes off the market than we put on, which is different, right, since May. So between May all the way through, to about August, we were adding inventory, right? And in fact, we had almost doubled. In fact, we do have double the inventory than we did this time last year. Well, we also have double the interest rate, right? But funny enough, we're still seeing fewer homes coming on market. We're seeing more homes going off market, and our solds are still running at about 929. Remember, a couple of weeks ago we said it's going to be between 700, 900, which is seasonally normal, and that the solds will drop off because why? Yeah, we're looking in the rearview mirror all the time. Because pendant and active are a dynamic number, whereas sold is always, what happened 30 days ago, because it takes 30 days to close on average. Okay, so when we look at that, and then we take into consideration on price reductions, there was 1,183 price reductions. Well, that's super cool. Okay, why? Because that just means that there are sellers out there that realize they have to do something different because the buyers are super smart and there's still a pent-up buyer demand, and what they need to do is to get their home in a price point that buyers will say yes, and that is going to be super important. When we come back, if you guys are able to see this screen, I don't know if you can or not. If not, we'll just have Vikas go ahead and put this for me. Look, so when we take a look at our for sale, we can see that we're up, 119% year over year. Now, if we look at 2019, we take a look at 2018, actually we're right on par. We're right where we should be this time of year for inventory, which is lower than what we saw in, like 2015, 16, and going back. Now, when we take a look at the active or new on market, we're actually down year over year 3.3%. Okay, so we're not seeing as many homes coming on market. Our pendants are down 20%. That number, the pendant and the sold, as far as year over year, that number keeps, going in an upward trend. It is consistent, however, with what we saw in 2019 and 18. And so when we take a look at those numbers, when we compare actual normalized market to normalized market, well, that's different, right? I can't look at what happened during a sprint. That's like trying to compare somebody who is sprinting on the track versus somebody who's fast walking or just walking. We know that that's inconsistent. They're never going to be the same. And that is why when we're looking at some of these numbers, we talk about 2018 and 19 versus 20 and 21, because those were sprints, all right? And, okay, so here's a really important question. So, Preeti asked me a question. She's like, George, you mentioned one time during our conversation that there's a difference between a list price today, what people should be listing at today, versus what we saw for escalated prices. And you're saying that you can't look at the escalated price. You need to look at what the true metric is on a list price. What is that? Why is that so important? Because remember that when we take a look at sales and we take a look at what the escalated price is, okay, that escalated price is maybe one or maybe two people, pretty much just one person who's willing to say, you know what? I personally am willing to pay X dollars more than anybody else to ensure I get this property. That doesn't mean that that is market value. Okay, market value meaning for the average set of buyers that would look at a certain home. That is just that one person. And you can't look at that and say, oh, well, in this neighborhood, they used to see $200,000 price reductions, even though their list price, even in 20 and 21, were here, and the escalated price was up here. Okay, well, that's fine. That means that one person, maybe sometimes two, was willing to escalate to this. That means that they just super wanted this and had the financial ability to say, I want to ensure I get up here. That does not mean that that is what market value is. market value is still here. So make sure that you are differentiating, and when you're looking at pricing your home, that you are looking at that objectively, not at the escalated price, but what is the true sales price? Because when you look at the true sales prices today versus what list prices were, even just a year ago, you'll see that they are very similar. There is a small adjustment upward in many communities still. Next year, probably only going to see, as we normalize to our interest rates, that we're only going to see 4%, maybe 6%, probably on the lower side, 4% appreciation, okay, year over year. Some areas, a little bit more rural, are going to come down a little bit in value. But we're not going to be like some of the other areas where they're saying, oh my gosh, the market's crashing. That is not it at all. And in fact, you can't even compare us to some of the hotbeds that were out there that always take the first hit, always see the fastest increases, and always see the fastest declines. That's not us. We tend to stay a lot more steady, and that is a great thing. So when we're looking at our numbers, if you can see my screen, when we look at our numbers, you can see very clearly that we are right on target, even when we take a look at last year's numbers. Based on interest rate, based on all other metrics, we're still doing very well. We will release a video that's 5 reasons why we will not see a market crash, but we are going to see, we will see some corrections. And that's okay. That's normal, and that is actually healthy. Now, here's another important thing. There's a lot of new loan programs that are coming out that you guys must capitalize on. You've got to get out there and start taking a look at these new programs because they are super cool. Dan and I did a video on a 2-1 buy down. Make sure that you watch that, because here's the thing. Getting sellers to buy your interest rate down, and if you refinance, and because our prediction is Q1 or Q4, really Q1, that mortgage interest rates are going to drop, you can do a refinance, but you don't lose that prepaid interest. You get to apply that to your principal, which means you reduce your principal. Watch the video. Super cool to watch. All right. If you have any questions, hey, reach out to us. We love, love, love questions. Now, we will be a little bit slower today as we're going to be out on the lake fishing, but we will get back to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, you guys have a beautiful day. I will see you guys on the next video, and I hope this worked for you guys. All right. Take care.